This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Braintree Payments. Mobile app development can be complex, but integrating your payments no longer has to be. With Braintree, your business can accept nearly every type of payment from any device with just one integration. Learn more at braintreepayments.com/whatthetech. And by Fresh Clean Tees. It's like a shave club, but they offer the most awesome t-shirts you'll ever wear. Seriously, they look amazing and feel even better. To save 20% off your first shipment, go to freshcleantees.com and enter the coupon code GFQ20 at checkout. That's GFQ20.
What's the tech?
Hey, everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarian, and of course, I'm joined by Paul Thurrott. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good.
It was great seeing you this week. We had a great time on Wednesday. We did a live Windows Weekly from Manhattan.
Right.
Well,
That's
you
right.
did it. You and Mary Jo did it. I just sat there and I flipped buttons.
Oh, you did more work than we did,
I
actually.
clicked on things. That's all I did.
You clicked on things?
Yeah.
Well, you did all the setup. It was great.
I did the
So,
setup. I
thank you.
did the production, the audio. It was, let me tell you, I absolutely love doing that kind of stuff. And it keeps me on my toes because I've gotten a little spoiled in the studio. We don't do any, like everything is IP driven now. So it just works, you know? So when I have like a project like that, I'm like, absolutely, I'll do it. Cause I love to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm always very happy to see you and Chris behind the controls. So,
You know, things aren't going to go that horribly wrong if Chris is there. For me, who knows?
I basically meant Chris. But yes.
But we had a lot of fun. It was great. We'll talk a little bit about that on the post show. But we have a lot to talk about. It was 4th of July yesterday. Happy 4th of July to everybody, American or not. It is the day that you eat and you don't and you drink way too much. I chose. You know what? I was going to be sober this weekend, and I did not drink after Saturday. So it's day 2, and it's miserable.
I cannot make that claim.
No, you had a rough week, huh?
I had not only a rough weekend, but every night someone else was driving.
Oh, so you
and
were
it was
able
just
to...
like a license to be dumb.
Oh,
and I accepted that license.
that's excellent. Listen, you have
I
to
don't
enjoy
know.
yourself.
We're
You
entering this
deserve it.
very, stressy period here with all the traveling and whatnot. So,
And then you're traveling next month, so it's coming up.
for the next month, one might say.
Are you? Where are you going?
Well, I'm going to Toronto next week for the Worldwide Partner Conference. I have to
And you do
fly
Windows
down
Weekly from there as well.
Yep.
Okay.
I have to fly to Pennsylvania from there to go to a wedding, which is on a Thursday, which I know is crazy. And then we drive home on Friday, and then we go to Paris the next Monday.
Oh my God, that's so
We're gonna
awesome.
be gone for 2 weeks.
So awesome. So we have a lot to talk about, and we got to, I guess, rework the schedule, but we'll get to that, guys. Before we get on with the show, I want to talk about our sponsor for today. One of them. That is not it. There you go. It's Braintree. Guys, if you are a mobile app developer, if you have a business, small business, large business, and you're accepting mobile payments as a method of, making some money, you have to check out Braintree. They are a mobile app development, mobile app service it's complete. So you don't ever have to worry about accepting, putting in different types of applications with different types of code to accept, currency. They accept everything from Bitcoin to Apple Pay to Android Pay, all different types of currencies. And it is super, super easy for the developer. And that's what really matters here. When there is a new way of paying for something, you don't want to waste time. Try to find a developer. Try to integrate it into what you're doing. Braintree, it's super easy. You put in a line of code, and it is unbelievable. It's flexible to your system. And whether you're using Java, Ruby, or Python, it'll always have a range of server-side and client-side SDKs available. So pretty much it's in many languages. If you are a developer, if you are a business that's accepting mobile payment, go to braintreepayments.com/whatthetech. That's braintreepayments.com/whatthetech. We've been talking about these guys for a while, and I have to tell you, at my party that I had, I had one of these guys that came over that was hanging out with us on Wednesday, and he goes, by the way, I implemented Braintree for one of my clients, and he absolutely loved it, and I love it even more because it was super easy. So BraintreePayments.com/whatthetech. I want to thank them for supporting the show, of course, and for supporting the GFK network. It's really good when you hear from a viewer that something works that you talk about. Most of the time, it's a complaint.
Are you getting strafed?
Yeah.
What is that?
Most of the time, people like shake me down. They're like, "Hey, I'm using this. You said it was good, but I absolutely hate it." So, and I'm like, "Ugh, okay. What do you want me to do?" Paul, we are approaching the last few weeks of the free Windows 10 update. And the questions are arising once again. Has there been any recent developments to Microsoft's strategy over the last couple days since we last spoke about this? We have, 20 days now? 22 days, a little less than a month now left for the free upgrade. And I guess we are doing them a service by reminding people that you have 20-something days left. So if you want to update and you're planning on update it, do it now.
Chances are pretty good if you qualify for this upgrade, you're being reminded every day anyway. Unless you turn it off, which is the big new development. You can turn it off.
You can turn it off, which is great if you don't want to do it. But we spoke about this last week, but I want to bring this up again. I really, really feel like August 1st is going to come, or August 2nd when Anniversary comes out, right?
Yep.
And that is going to be the day that people are yelling and screaming on social media saying, what happened to the free upgrade? I thought it was free.
Right. Because that's what people do.
That's what people do. And I genuinely think that is going to be the big problem for them when there's a new version. Because people, out of sight, out of mind, right? Well, in this case, it's not out of sight, but you kind of let it sit there on your taskbar and you're not really thinking about it. But once people start talking about something that's new, a new update, a new this, a new that, everybody's going to go and hit that free upgrade because they saw it about 6 months ago that they haven't done anything. And now they're going to be complaining. And I really think Microsoft is going to fold on this and say, for a limited time, we're extending the free upgrade.
Yes. You know what? I don't think that's going to happen anymore. For a while, I sort of wondered about that, but
have they been? How firm have they been in regards to very firm? Like, this is it, guys. We're not going to.
Yeah, and I mean publicly and privately.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what their reaction is. It going to be? Well, we told you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny. I talked to Terry Myerson a couple of weeks ago, and they had it was around an announcement, related to this, related to the final date of the anniversary update and so forth. But he was saying that there was going to be some kind of deals from PC makers that would, and Microsoft has a small deal kind of aimed at making it a little less painful after the free update's over with regards to, upgrading to a new PC kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, there isn't really that much of it yet. Maybe we'll see more in the future, but it's pretty tame right now. I think when August 2nd happens, back to school season kicks in, maybe we'll start seeing deals from the PC makers, but so far, not too much.
We just got a tweet right now, and it says, we should shame those people, but that's too much work. People will be late for anything, even a year in advance, which he's absolutely right. That's how it's going to work. That's how it's going to work. All right, so no, I just wanted to touch on that and again, put an update out there for people. If you haven't done it, figure it out and do it.
If you haven't done it, you got about
So I have one
weeks.
machine left, right? I have a couple older machines that I'm not even bothering. I have an older ThinkPad from like 2010 or 2011 that I'm not gonna bother with because I'm never using it. But I have one machine right across from me, and I cannot for the life of me do the update. It just fails every time. There's some sort of hardware fail. So I have 20 days now to figure out what the problem is and do the update. So I'm just waiting here, and I'm just gonna do it probably like the last week, and then be one of those people that complains.
Sure.
There were some rumors that came out this week, and I want to talk to you about this. The next Surface will possibly be an all-in-one.
Yeah.
What do we know about this? I'm very interested in this. Is it going to be an all-in-one in the sense of what Apple does with the iMacs, or something completely different?
Well, so there's been some patents stuff that's been uncovered, and Brad's written about this, Mary Jo's written about it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that this is something they're going to release this fall. Although, given what we know about the Surface schedule and what we believe to be the case, I should say, in that we don't expect new versions of Surface Pro, Surface Book this fall, but rather early next year, tied to the release of the Kaby Lake Intel chipset, right, the successor to Skylake. What might Microsoft do over the holiday period with regards to new hardware? And obviously, Xbox One S is part of it. Brad had talked earlier about some Xbox, was it Xbox branded or Surface branded? I think Xbox branded media devices, kind of like Roku and Chromecast style devices. We might see that kind of thing. Purely speculative, maybe we'll see Microsoft branded mice and keyboards that have Windows Hello sign-in capabilities and so forth. But all-in-one, right? I mean, that is interesting because an all-in-one desktop computer, any desktop computer, doesn't really have to be tied to some next generation chipset. It could be the current or prior chipset. It's a much less important, I think, on a desktop computer, and so that's kind of a safe one for them.
Yeah.
It's a place for them to expand the Surface brand and do for desktop computers what they've done for mobile computers, which is not so much create, but rather formalize a type of computer that PC Maker partners could then essentially copy, which they've done with Surface Pro. Also, and I get this, it's funny, I talked to Lenovo, I talked to HP a lot, I talked to Microsoft as well, obviously. And when you think about the PC industry today, we tend to think of it as a shrinking market, which it is. But actually, there are parts of the PC market that are doing well and are in fact growing and are big money-making opportunities for PC makers who want to focus on, those positive parts of the business. That's right where Surface is, right? Premium PCs, gaming PCs are, what's making money. In the desktop PC segment, all-in-one is actually a growth segment. This is an area that's pretty much dominated by the iMac, but the iMac, like the MacBooks and MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros, it's been kind of sitting there for a while. It really hasn't changed that much. And I think there's room for innovation to occur. I should point out, too, that there are companies like Lenovo especially that have gigantic screen devices where it's an all-in-one computer, but you can actually pop the screen off and use it like a giant tablet.
Yeah, it's like a 21-inch or 22.
Yeah, or 20, even bigger. Yeah, 21-inch.
Have you seen the big ones? The biggest I've seen is 21-inch.
I had one. I think I've sent it back already. I think they're a little ridiculous. I get the feeling it's almost like an experiment. Like, let's just see what this is like. Like, one of the goofy things you could do with this giant tablet thing was put it down on a couch or a table or something and take out these plastic pucks that are like little handle things that Lenovo supplied, and then you move them on the surface of it like you're playing air hockey. But the air hockey, the actual puck in the game, is software based. So as you move those things around on the surface of the screen, it interacts with the virtual puck.
Yeah, because that's what I really want to do, is drag something across.
It's just, again, it's like what, I'm sure you can kind of imagine how it came about, but not a huge use case.
I kind of feel like it's like we could have this thing detached and someone will say, well, what's the point? He goes, the point is other people aren't doing it, and it'll just be like an advantage for us.
Someone is doing it.
It's sitting in the store. Somebody walks in. It's like, yeah, but this one detaches. Oh, then we have to get that one.
Right. So given how Surface has gone so far, I have a hard time imagining them doing this without the screen coming off, right? Because that's the way Surface always is. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about this. So I can only, again, I'm speculating here, but I think there are some obvious ways that Surface/Microsoft could innovate with an all-in-one PC that Apple's not doing. Some of the stuff is just inherent to the PC industry that Mac doesn't have. Multi-touch, for example, where you could take the screen and pull it down toward you at least, and write on it or play piano on it or paint on it or whatever you want to do. Not a huge use case, but something that's literally just not possible on a Mac. So that might be kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, but
and then I just think some user interface stuff or user experience stuff where they should have is a base of some kind. It could basically resemble the Surface dock we have today, except hopefully with USB-C ports as well, and just supply all that connectivity in a place that you can actually reach it, not have to put your hand up behind the screen like you do on iMac.
I mean, they already have the base of what this thing could possibly look like. Just make it into a giant screen. They already They already have that not the technology, but the design for the I guess the stand, the kickstand. Why not just extend it and just go way bigger? It's
Yeah, they could just exactly.
go that way.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, who knows? I think it's a good idea. I think this is this could be a good one. The Surface look and feel I think is important. That would be kind of nice. They already have a big screen called Surface Hub. I mean, they could use that as the model. The styling is a little different on that device than it is on the Surface portables. It has kind of a gray industrial look to it. It's almost like something you see on the Death Star in Star Wars rather than like a gray magnesium kind of deal.
I'm going to HP's website to see their all-in-ones now. I'm curious on what these.
See what they have.
Like. Yeah, like are people buying all-in-ones? Is this a? I don't know what that market looks like.
Yeah, it's still growing. It's still positive. It's the one part of the desktop PC market that is doing that. HP has the giant widescreen all-in-one.
Yeah, the one that curves.
Display.
Yeah, that one's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting deal. There's some gaming stuff that could happen here. I don't know if they assuming they do this and then assuming further if it happens, Gen 1, Gen 2. Why not make a gaming PC version where it's integrated dedicated graphics and maybe even VR capable, right? And then you can tie into that whole Windows PC.
I think that's where that uphill battle will be for them. A standard. Can they squeeze enough horsepower in this thing and give it, a couple of years of life for you to game on?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really seen it happen
No.
with all-in-ones in the past. I can't get HP's website to work. This is, again, the same thing that I say every week about
I'm looking
how
at it now. What you see is a lot of basic.
I know. I see a white
stuff.
screen, Paul. All I see is a white screen.
But they do have that. There's an all-in-one kind of a 24-inch flat screen and I guess a 27-inch flat screen, and then there's the 32-inch curved screen as well. They have touch. Maybe not the touch. The curved one probably doesn't have touch, but the other two have touch. I don't know. They're fine. It's nothing. The curved one's obviously awesome, but I mean, some of these the Pavilion designs in particular are.
They're okay.
Yeah, they're okay. There's nothing special.
I guess I had an all-in-one I guess. I don't even know if you would consider an all-in-one. It was like a bizarre hybrid Aptiva. It was part of their S line. In 1996, I had this, where it was a monitor, right? 17 or 15-inch monitor with the speakers on the monitor. And it sat on like these two bars. The monitor would sit on there. And inside of that was like a CD-ROM tray and a floppy tray. And it wasn't connected, and then you would the monitor would connect to that, and then you would connect it to the tower, but the tower had no optical drives, nothing.
Yeah.
Everything was in that box. So I guess that's like the concept of an all-in-one. So you never had to go down and open up the CD tray or, put anything in there like that. It was all in front of you.
Right.
Boy, have we come far.
I mean, yeah. There have been some really cool iMacs. I mean, like the current iMac to me is just kind of plain looking. I'm sure it's super thin and beautiful and everything, but they had that really elegant lamp design. I actually owned one of those for a while.
I actually
back
like
in the
that
Power
one.
Mac.
I really like those. The lamp design.
Yeah, and it was very, you could just kind of put your finger on the lip of it or I guess the edge of it, and you could just move it. Almost effortlessly. It was really kind of impressive. And then they kind of went to these big slabs. And they had the thicker kind of white versions for a while. Now they have these aluminum things, but they're okay.
They're not as thin as they're super thin, but they're not as thin as
not
the
right.
average. Yeah,
there's a computer in there.
They recently killed their Thunderbolt displays.
Right, which leads people to think they're coming out with 5K Thunderbolt displays or something.
Well, they are 5K. They're doing 5K now.
Okay. Well, they're doing. Yeah. There's some. I don't follow the Apple stuff.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to, what the plan with that would be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if people put as much thought. I mean, we put it in because it's our job and we have to, but I don't think people put in as much thought into this. Like I get crap for this all the time, and people send me emails like, no, nobody buys a computer like that. I generally think people go to Best Buy to go buy like a backup drive, and they end up leaving there with a computer. I think that's how majority of computers are sold in Best Buy. You go in there to buy a DVD or a Blu-ray, and you leave with, a $500 computer.
Okay.
I don't know if people are even considering any of these things. I recently had a discussion with someone, and I was asking like, "Oh, what computer did you buy?" And they would tell me, I'm like, "Oh, is it an i5?" And they looked at me like I have 10 heads. They had no idea
Right.
what an i5 is or what an AMD is, nothing. So I don't know. Do you think Microsoft would do well in a physical desktop? I-
Well, so I feel like when you have a family of devices, you have to hit the whole range, right? One of the things I would have done before this is I would have provided 3x2 displays for the existing Surface devices so that with a docking station, you could create this home, or desk system
Yeah.
and not have to deal with any of the wonky aspect ratio problems you have when you go back and forth between the 3:2 internal display of the Surface and the 16 by 10 or 9 widescreen display that everyone actually owns. So I find it a little odd that they haven't done that kind of thing, right? I mean, to me, that was just obvious. Like, a $500 whatever size display, make it happen. Duplicate the exact resolution of the Surface Book or whatever, or at least keep it 3x2. So they never did that. But when you think about an all-in-one computer, does it make sense for that thing to be 3x2?
I think it's an interesting concept. Now, is it a possibility for them to come up with an extended line, something beyond the Surface? The Surface could be the device where it's this higher end device, but
Mhm.
are is there even any consideration to enter into just a laptop, just a
No,
nothing?
no, there isn't. And the reason is the point of this isn't to shut out competition and establish themselves as the biggest PC maker in the world. It's to inspire its partners and its customers to better design in the PC space and to create these new product categories. They're very excited to be able to have sort of, they didn't really create it, but let's give them that little bone that they created this kind of 2-in-1 category. They didn't really, but they talk about it all the time. And what really happened was that we had 2-in-1s. We've had laptops, we've had all-in-ones, and they're kind of doing what I think Apple does, which is they look at something and they say, okay, well, this is pretty good. Let's make it better, you know? And so the Surface Book is their take on a laptop. It's a Surface, so the screen detaches, which is kind of goofy. And if they do an all-in-one, we'll see what their take is on that. I think we talked last week probably about the possibility that Microsoft might replace the Surface 3 with a phone, right? Rethink what a phone is. And in some ways, the most interesting thing about Windows 10 Mobile isn't the fact that it makes phone calls and gets text messages and stuff. It's a computer. It runs the same universal apps
Yeah,
that you see on the PC desktop. I mean, that's kind of interesting.
it is very interesting.
Yeah.
I- you know, we I want to talk about Apple. Apple is doing something. They got a patent for something that is a little terrifying to me.
Okay.
And I want to get your opinion on this. I actually saw it last week, and I really, really was curious as to what Paul would think of this. I don't know if
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about, but we're going to
I
talk.
assume this is the thing that prevents you from taking video during
Yes,
a concert.
yeah, which I think is insane, but it's also scary because I do see that this will happen. Maybe not Apple first, but somebody. But before we do that, I want to talk
Mhm.
about our sponsor, and that's Fresh Clean Teas. I thought it was really funny. Did you hear everybody coming up to me and asking if they could touch my shirt at the party?
I'm not saying that you imagined that,
You know what? You could ask Daniel. You know
but
Daniel?
there was a lot of touching.
Yeah, Daniel was there, and he was touching
Daniel.
my shirt. And like two other guys came out. They're like, "Oh, is that a fresh clean?" Like as a joke because they didn't think I'd be wearing it. And I was like, "It is a fresh clean tee." So this is the great thing about Fresh Clean Tees. It's a monthly shirt delivery service. It's much like one of those shave clubs where you sign up once and they send you a T-shirt every month or every other month or once a quarter. You decide how you want the shirts sent to you. You could pick a style, crew neck, V-neck. You could do a mix of them. You could pick the colors. I had 3 shirts, and 2 of my shirts are gone because my father took one when he came to see. He was helping me out in the studio. He took a shirt. He took my black one, and my brother took the white shirt. So now I'm left with this one. This is the only one I have left, and this is why I'm wearing the same one again. The quality is awesome. That was my point. They absolutely loved it. They're like, wow, this thing is great. It fits great. It feels great. And they have a great deal for our audience. If you go to freshcleantees.com and use the code GFQ20, you get 20% off your first purchase. Now, you could also do a one-time purchase if you want to do a one-time. They offer that on their website. freshcleantees.com. Use the offer code GFT20 at checkout, and you get 20% off. I want to thank Fresh Clean Tees. And again, to all the people that were at the party that did not think this was a Fresh Clean Tee, you know what? You were wrong, and I win. I do actually wear the shirts because they're awesome. FreshCleanTees.com, guys. Paul, I want to get your opinion on this. The patent that they filed to stop people from taking photos at concerts.
Is it photos or videos or both?
It was video. The first article I read said photos as well. But they could do it for photos as well. It doesn't. The technology is going to be the same. But the last article that I read from 9 to 5, they said it was for videos. Now, I guess this is the whole thing of assuming somebody is going to pirate something or post it before it actually, it's a weird assumption to make that everybody's going to post a video on YouTube.
Well, a lot of people do, right? I mean,
yeah, sure.
But I'm not 100% sure this is a problem for most bands, right? Some people probably love that their fans are doing this. It's kind of like an advertisement.
I have a couple friends in the music business, and I asked them about this. So one of them is he's in a tremendous band, and they travel all over the world. The other ones are just like local bands. There's been nobody that I have asked that has said, "Oh, you know what? Good for them," because all these people are taking money out of my pocket.
No,
nobody.
I mean, right. I mean, bands make, I guess, is there some group of people that would watch a video of a band play live on YouTube and then decide not to go see them in concert?
No, I think it encourages you to discover new music. I mean, again, is like, it's not the piracy issue, right?
I don't think so, because they're not making money on the music anyway, right?
Okay, so, Ryan Adams did a great version of Wonderwall. Okay. Somebody sent me this link. And I thought it was amazing. And I was like, oh, my God, I wasn't even like a Ryan Adams fan. I didn't even care for him. But, oh, my God, what a great version of this song.
Okay.
I would have never discovered that, nor would I have ever even looked up any of Ryan Adams' songs if it wasn't for that YouTube video from a concert.
Okay. But I don't think that's the issue, right? I mean, presumably, if this artist or some other artist did a one-off song somewhere and their intention was for it never to get out in the world, I guess that would be a problem. But it seems like one way or the other, this thing being out there, is there a version of the song you could buy from Apple or something?
I'm not. I have no idea.
Yeah, right. So I don't know.
You know what? I'm sure
the
there
issue
is.
I think is it's like full concert recordings, right? In other words, someone goes to the concert and they record it. And I've watched these things. I've watched them.
Me too, yeah.
Shows I've seen over the past year, before and or after. I've looked for concerts of the band on that tour. After a tour is over, I will go and see if I can find the one from the one I was at, and just kind of judge the quality of it or whatever. I've never really kept any of them. But the point is I like these bands. So
you wanted,
I'm
trying to think.
Yeah, I want to see them. So
have you sat and actually watched the full concert or just like songs? You've like searched for songs and you found the song.
No, I have a zero attention span. So yeah, I've kind of skipped through to see which song. Sometimes it's funny. You can find like an old concert. You'd be like, I wonder what songs they did on this show.
Yeah.
And see if you can find the one or two that they haven't done in a while or whatever.
So
anyway.
The only time I've actually listened to a full concert was when it wasn't available.
Sure.
But
okay. But the point is, I don't really feel like this is taking money from anybody. But more important, it would be sort of like a movie theater implementing a cell phone blocking technology, because so many people were talking on phones that it was getting annoying to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like you can make an argument for both sides of this. On the one hand, you might say that's really dangerous.
Sure.
What if my kid's home with a babysitter and they can't reach me? And I think in those cases, actually, the theaters have a way to get around this. You could just decide not to go to that thing.
Are they actually installing this? Is this the thing?
No, but there was talk about this, because when cell phones first happened, when smartphones first happened, this was a serious problem for a long time. And I guess it's calmed down or not, depending on where you live or what theater you go to. But I didn't go to movies for a long, long time because of this. It was just so annoying. People, like a sea of screens, people texting, talking on phones. It was ridiculous. But there are artists out there. I could picture, like Taylor Swift is probably one of them, but there were artists out there who, for whatever reason, don't want their fans recording the shows. They want to handle their image. They want to handle how the world gets their
Yeah.
content. So I guess the question is this. Let's say Apple does implement this. And is it up to the band or the venue? I mean, couldn't you imagine there would be some groups who would say, you know what? We don't care if you record this. In fact, we'd appreciate it if you record this because it's free promotion. Put it up on YouTube. Get people excited about it. Right? Wouldn't you see some artists falling on either side of this thing?
I think it would be it wouldn't even be up to the artist. It would be left for the record industry to determine, oh, you know what? We don't want anybody.
Well, no, what I'm saying is why does it have to be global? I mean, why couldn't it be up to the venue? It could be up to the artist. I mean, I think some people would, artists would say, I don't care.
Yeah.
Let them record.
I'm curious if there would be enough backlash. Because I saw this covered everywhere.
What's the backlash now, though? Like, there are videos on YouTube. So is there backlash? I mean, I never perceived this to be a problem. I think this is a wonderful thing that's available.
No. Like, I'm saying you buy an iPhone, right? And now you're a 16-year-old kid. You have an iPhone. You're at a concert and with your friends, and you want to remember this. You're not going to upload it to YouTube, but you're going to record like your favorite song, and you're going to yell, "I love you, Taylor Swift." And then all of a sudden, you can't record it. Is that going to be a what the hell is this type thing? Forget about Apple. I'm not going to.
It's like when you visit like a monument or museum or something, and for some reason like there's this room or part of it where they say, sorry, there's no photography allowed.
Yeah.
And then when you get out at the back, they give you could buy a postcard.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is just like being there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, no, okay.
I'm curious as if there would be backlash.
You really think that that's what it's for? I mean,
oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, they're doing. I think they're definitely doing it to prevent piracy. Of
all that's
going to
do is make people upset. Like why would you do that?
Yeah, I think it's bizarre. I think it's a really. I mean, first of all, it doesn't mean that they've applied for the patent. They have patents to a bajillion things. So it doesn't mean like it's something that's going to be implemented,
doesn't mean
but
it's going to be like iOS 10.
I do think this is some sort of leverage they could hold with the music industry because of iTunes.
Okay.
This is something that they're going to have in their back pocket when if things go sour, they could say, well, listen, give us this and we could implement this on our phones.
Right.
I could not imagine that Apple would care this much about people recording concert videos. Shouldn't it be YouTube's job and the other services like Facebook and YouTube to determine what's piracy and what's not, what's copyrighted and what's not?
How about this? What if it literally was to prevent someone from recording an entire concert, and the way the technology would be used would be to allow you to record like 30 or 60 seconds, which you could share on YouTube.
Yeah, I guess so.
Keep for yourself. Wouldn't that kind of solve the problem nicely?
Yeah, that would be interesting too.
And if all you really care about is sharing a moment with your friends or recording a moment you had with your friends. 30 or 60 seconds should do it.
Now, they say that you could record you with your friends at a concert.
Okay.
So I could do like a selfie with Paul at a Rush concert if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
I just
that would
think
be even more annoying to the people behind us.
To the behind us, yeah. I thought it was an interesting patent that they applied for, and it's... if Apple does it, God forbid, everybody else is going to start following. And you know what? This may be Microsoft's answer to market share. Everybody starts doing this, and Microsoft says, no, we're putting our foot down. You can record all the concerts you want. And all of a sudden, they get 30% market share.
See, I don't think it's the phone maker's decision, though.
You mean it shouldn't be their decision?
No, I mean,
I don't think so either.
What a weird limitation to put on your own users.
I know.
It seems like something you would do, like I said, as the band, as the venue. I mean, I could picture there being a standard for this stuff, and it could apply to those places like I was talking about. When you go in the room where the Mona Lisa is, maybe they don't want you taking photos or something. Let's just pretend that's the case.
But
they could implement that in the room, and all the cell phones wouldn't work.
Here's the thing. Let's say you're at a Celtics game, right? Mm-hmm. And you record like 3 minutes of the video on your phone. I've seen people get popped for that on Facebook. Which is
crazy because cell phone video of a Celtics game.
Yeah, just like a 3-minute video of so-and-so doing whatever.
Yeah, that's stupid.
They are cracking down on that. I recorded a video. I was at a wrestling show, and not even like a mainstream, like an indie wrestling show. I got a takedown notice by like the company they hire, and it was after the show. It was literally the post show that's not going to air anywhere. And I recorded about like a minute and a half of it.
Right.
And I put it on my YouTube, and it got like 40,000 views, and then they popped me for it. So it's just bizarre. It's getting it's a little nutty. I get it.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's early, so it's kind of hard to say if this is going to be even a thing that happens. But let's find out. It may not be the giant controversy.
It probably won't. It probably won't. Xbox Play Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've spoken about this.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think we spoke about it personally. Like we spoke about it.
Sure.
What can you tell us?
Well, I mean, it's like basically a logo program Microsoft is setting up for games that are universal Windows platform games, right?
Yeah.
So they would run on both Windows 10 PCs and on Xbox One. And it's not just the ability of the game to run on both platforms, but it's also the ability, or you buy one game, you get it on both platforms. You can do cross-platform, I'm not sure if that's the right term, but cross-platform play, let's call it, so that, let's say you're playing, I don't know, Gears of War 4, which I think might be on that list. And, you're working through the single-player campaign on your Xbox, and, it's time to hop in the car and go somewhere. Someone else is driving, hopefully. And you can whip out your tablet and your Xbox Elite controller and sign in, and you're in the same game, and you pick up right where you left off, and you play it for X amount of time, and you can kind of see where this is going.
So this it'll be available September 13th.
Yep.
And so here's how have they given a roadmap of how often they're going to add new games or older games to, like, right now it's like the top whatever games, right? It's like the top 1,000.
Well, no, actually it's kind of a strange list. I was trying to find it, or when I saw you had that on the list, I was trying to find the list of games, because there isn't. Find it. Yeah, it's not a very long list. I had published it somewhere on the site, and I can't find it. But here we go. Let's see. Look at this one. So the way it's going to work is, obviously a game maker has to kind of buy into it. Like, they have to decide they're going to do this. But one of the nice things about this is that all of the upcoming Microsoft Studio games, like the in-house games that Microsoft makes, will be on this list. So it is Gears of War 4, Killer Instinct, Seasons 1, 2, and 3, Forza Horizon 3, Recore, I'm trying to see what, State of Decay 2, Halo Wars 2, Crackdown 3, and there's looks like 12 or 15 of them maybe so far. So over time, obviously that list grows, and over time, it will grow, in particular because Microsoft's going to be putting all of their own in-house games on there as well.
I'm wondering if this is going to be exciting to a lot of people. I mean, from the people that I spoke to, they're very excited. But I'm curious of how many, like, is there going to be something that's going to be put in place? And, like, if you're developing games, this is something that you're going to have to do, or you're going to want to do. Like, how are they going to entice people to want to have support all across all the... Well,
I mean, look, there are 20 million Xbox Ones in the world, let's say, somewhere around there. There are 350 million Windows 10 PCs. If only 10% of those are gamers of any kind, that's still a bigger market than the Xbox One. So this actually makes a lot of sense. These are games that maybe would have been console only previously. So this is opening up games to a much wider market. It's a huge thing, I think, for developers. And because this platform is so, I almost said well-designed, but maybe that's not the right phrase. It's more carefully curated. You're going to get a console-like experience on the PC with these games, You'll still have some of the PC capabilities around resolution and graphical effects and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to be a simpler, console-type experience. But still some really good-looking games, right? Yeah. So I think this is a great idea.
I think it's tremendous. I would love
I mean,
to...
I travel a lot, and, oftentimes I don't have a lot of downtime, but when I do, I'll read or I'll watch a movie or something. Like, the ability to continue playing a game that I'm really into, I think would be really kind of cool, You could play it on a plane.
Because there's a couple games that I have, and I always say, well, I wish I could, this was on the PC. I could just move it along and just play it there, and it's not supported, obviously, but
yeah. Gears of War 4, I'm going to get that. That's great. Yeah. Recore looks great. Crackdown 3, Crackdown 2 I didn't like too much, but the original Crackdown was fantastic, and I'll definitely take a look at that one. Cuphead, is that awesome? I don't know if you should look up the game Cuphead if you haven't seen this.
C-U-P-H-E-A-D?
C-U-P-H-E-A-D, yeah.
It's like a cartoon?
Yeah, it's a cartoon game, and it looks like those 1940s Warner Brother cartoons or whatever,
Yeah,
the
I'm looking
early
at it.
Mickey Mouse cartoons, where it's like steamboat, thing going up and down, and it's it's cool looking. It's
Oh
just a
man,
cool
this
looking.
thing looks. Do you play this?
It's not out yet.
Oh my god, this thing looks awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be one of the games.
Oh man, this looks really really good.
Yeah, it looks really good. So, we'll see.
I want this game. This is awesome, actually. Cuphead.
Yeah.
See, I think this is more. This is where Microsoft is getting the advantage over Sony. I don't care. I mean, how can you argue that this is not something that you would want to get? Like I guess other than the titles themselves that Sony has that are exclusive, why would you want to buy a PlayStation over an Xbox? I still don't understand that. It's not a price thing anymore, right? Like I know a lot of people said, well, it's cheaper, but that's not the case.
No, there's a lot of things that go into that decision. But the funny thing is, when you look at platforms, we talk a lot about digital movie platforms, like iTunes versus Google Play Music versus Amazon, whatever. There's some advantage to making whatever choice you make, right? Hopefully, when you make a decision like that, you're doing it for a good reason, and there's a good reason to be in this place. So, for example, I think one of the really interesting things with regards to platforms that's out there in the world today is Amazon, because Amazon is one of the few companies that can bridge the divide between digital services and physical goods. You can buy an Amazon Prime membership, you can get 2-day shipping on everything, and then you get all this stuff like cloud storage and a music service and a movie service and like Kindle books for free. And, they do all this kind of neat stuff. And it's something that no one else can do because only Amazon has that other physical part of it. It's kind of a neat thing. And so in this case, what we're seeing is something Microsoft can do and something Microsoft can do that Sony can't do. Because what are Sony's other, tie-ins? I mean, are there there's nothing, right? There's nothing that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We're in an age now where it doesn't make sense for Sony to limit the availability of music owned by Sony artists to Sony devices. You're not going to see that happen. So Sony has to compete the old-fashioned way, which is, game lists, exclusives, that kind of thing. The stuff that's been the console world for the entire time we've had consoles. Yeah. I think the reason this is so interesting is because it's breaking the bounds of what it means to be a console.
Yeah, but because the concept of what a traditional console is, like you said, there's so much competition, right?
Yeah,
everything's. I mean, I've always and I say
there's some competition.
Well, I mean, you're kind of competing with an iPad. You're competing with your phone. You're competing. I mean, in the sense that anything to take away.
You're basically
talking
about entertainment because the thing that competes with playing Cuphead on an Xbox One is watching Orange is the New Black with your wife. It's reading a book on your Kindle. It's playing a stupid game in Farmville on your phone or whatever. That you have all these choices, right?
By the way, I'm still looking up Cuphead.
That's pretty cool.
I absolutely love this game.
Yeah,
it's right up my alley. I think it's getting harder and harder. Like a company like Nintendo is struggling because why would you buy a Nintendo? Why would you go? They haven't done anything major in 7 years.
Remember the original Wii with those kind of nunchuck controllers? I think was the name of them.
That was it.
Which is kind of goofy. I was just reminded of this today because there was a thing on Twitter. Mike Ibarra had a post about how they're going to add wheelchairs for avatars in Xbox Live.
I saw that.
So people who are disabled can have their avatar have a wheelchair as well. And so he showed off some of the early designs. And some people pointed out the fact that the avatars in those images were actually more detailed than the avatars we see today on Xbox Live. And maybe that means that they're updating this, whatever. But what that reminded me of was that when Microsoft launched avatars several years ago, it was because Nintendo had Mii's. Remember the MII? That came out with the original Wii.
Yeah.
And they basically ripped it off. That's what avatars are. They're just stupid Wii ripoffs. But, the Wii thing kind of came and went, and Microsoft has soldiered on. And it's weird. There was this little, because Nintendo was such a big competitive threat back in 2006, 2007, I guess, so 10 years ago. Microsoft went down some path with this is how we're going to represent users on Xbox Live, just like Nintendo does. And it's kind of weird because it's like this vestigial thing from the past, because honestly, Xbox is, powerful enough to have really nice looking representations, including photos.
And now they're selling, only a couple 100,000 units
Yeah.
for the Wii.
Well,
Wii
they
U.
haven't. They just haven't shown up.
I mean, the fact that they didn't release a Zelda game for this console in 3 years this thing's been out, it hasn't come out, so it just speaks volumes. And now they have a new console that's going to be coming out. So
Yeah, and for some reason, people are actually excited about it.
you know what? I am
'Cause they've never
I
done
am
stuff.
excited. I'm excited for it, and I'll tell you why. It has something to do with my childhood and the fact that I always had a Nintendo and I always bought a Nintendo. So it's kind of like I have to buy it.
See, I was pre-Nintendo, so when I saw the original NES, I realized it was the ColecoVision ripoff that it was.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, Paul.
Yes.
It's getting hot in here.
Okay.
I got to get out of here. I was going to talk about the Verizon price hike,
Okay.
which I'm not. I'll save that for a different
Fair
week.
enough.
Guys, go to our website, gfknetwork.com. Subscribe to us. We're everywhere podcasts are available. Also, go to Thurrott.com and become an alpha member. Thurrott Premium is launching this fall. You can sign up now and get 35% off. You get 35% off your first year subscription, but you can become a premium member now for only $42, and you're going to get a plethora of stuff. You're going to get a podcast. You're going to get enhanced user experience. You're going to get Thurrott daily newsletters, the alpha member badge, which, by the way, I am an alpha member, premium forums. I'm going to be spamming your forum, Paul.
Yep.
I'll spam your
That's what
forum.
we're looking for.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to spam it for nonsense.
Yeah.
Go to Thurrott.com. Right in the corner, the right hand corner, there's a image that said premium. So click on that, sign up. I am signed up, and I will be very excited to see what content comes in the fall. Also, subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter at Andrew Zarin. You can follow Paul at Thurrott. And that's it for this week, guys. See you later.